Hi, everybody. This is Gabi. If you don't know me, I'm the executive director and co founder of the International SCNA Alliance and mom to Elliot, who's with me today. He's my 13-year-old kiddo who struggles with SCN8A and is my inspiration, along with all the other amazing people living with SCN8A that I get to work with day in and day out. I just thought that it might be nice to connect with our community towards the end of the year and talk a little bit about all the exciting things that have happened and where we're headed. So I just want to start by talking a little bit about what this year has meant to me. This has been an incredibly pivotal year, in my opinion, for SCN8A. We've seen the number of publications increase rapidly, the number of collaborations come together. We've had an incredible relationship with our global alliance leaders, which is 11 organizations around the world working together to advance SCN8A research and care. And one of the most exciting things that I'll lead with in 2025 is that we are developing a grant program that is going to be done in collaboration with many other groups around the world so that we can pool our money and jointly grant money to those who are doing the most innovative and exciting work to help us get closer to better care and treatments for those with SCN8A. So that's the most exciting thing, is that we're really moving the needle forward as a global community together. So before I get ahead of myself, I also want to pause and just say that 2025, while very, very exciting, has also been incredibly painful for so many of us who live in this space and have children and families and loved ones who are struggling with SCN8A. I want to just pause and honor all of those we've lost far too soon to SCN8A. Both this year and in years past. We know that SCN8A is a genetic mutation that's been around as long as humans have, so we can't even begin to count the number of people who have died due to SCN8A. But the loss is overwhelming, and our mission at the SCN8A Alliance is to continue to fight in the honor of those who have come before, and to fight for a better quality of life and treatments for those who are still here and those yet to come. So, all of these beautiful faces that you see when we post, that's what drives us to build a better future for those with SCN8A. And I think you've heard me talk about this before, but at the Alliance, what we're really doing is we're building towards bigger and bigger things for the community. We spent a number of years really working to build community, and as not just with families, but with clinicians and researchers and pharmaceutical companies. And, it was even cited in an article about precision medicine in rare genetic epilepsies that SCN8A is a model community for how we have moved the needle, and within 10 years of gene discovery have clinical trials in progress. And that is due to the relationships that have been built and how we've really committed to working together as a community to on this shared commitment to accelerate better treatments and care as soon as possible. So one of the first things that we did, building on all of these relationships, is ask the community what is going on, what do you need most, what feels like the biggest gap. And this was about 5 years ago. We asked the community, both clinicians and researchers, and the answer was, we don't know how to care for and treat people living with SCN8A. We don't have any data, we don't have any proof. And that led us to complete the first global consensus for SCN8A. And that was several years of intensive work with more than 40 clinicians around the world volunteering their time over a year and a half to help us prepare that scientific assessment about the best ways to care for and treat those with SCN8A. And that was a monumental effort, but I can tell you that it is paying off. We sent out an email today with an amazing quote. If you are not getting our emails, please drop a line, message us, let us know. We'll add you to our mailing list if you just give us your email. But we have this amazing quote from one of our dads in Australia, David Ferguson, and his wife Susan, who talks about their daughter Lottie. And they live in Australia, and they have a great doctor, but somebody that doesn't know SCN8A. And they started on the wrong medicine. The doctor didn't know what to do next. These incredible parents, took the consensus, brought it to their doctor, and said, here's some information to use to help us better think about how to care for Lottie. And in doing so, they tried a medication that was recommended in the consensus. And David said it was a transformational change in their daughter. And and I cried. I have to tell you, I cried when it happened. Jayetta, my mom, who was one of my co-founders, we both cried because that is why we do this work, because we want change for these children and their families. We want positive change so that kids and families can live their best lives and be as healthy and engaged as they possibly can be. So that was incredibly powerful moment for me in 2025, was just seeing the consensus be put to use. And then, of course, doing this consensus, working with, like I mentioned, more than 40 clinicians across the world from 16 countries and 13 families. We did a lot of data gathering and learned a lot, but there were so many gaps at the end of it. And Jayed and I and Michael Hammer would talk about it. And it's like, this isn't good enough. We need to do more. And the next step then was to do this research roadmap meeting, which we held in the summer of 2024, where we brought together global leaders in SCN8A, family leaders like from some of these international groups. We brought together TCSF came to the meeting, clinicians, researchers, pharmaceutical companies, all came together, and based on surveys we did in advance with all of these people, helped us determine what the biggest gaps in SCN8A care and treatment are. Things like we don't have biomarkers. We need to better understand how the current medications that we have work and how they don't work, and in what combination do they work. And also that we need gene therapies. We need really transformational therapies to come through. And we need to better understand how SCN8A impacts not just the brain, but the whole body. So all of these goals came to light because of this collaborative effort across the global community. And from that time we spent together in Boston in 2024, we hosted it at MIT, thanks to Madeline Uden and Chris Burge, who hosted us there. And it was just this incredible time of coming together and spending a very concentrated day and a half talking about what do we need to do to improve lives. And so that paper was published in 2025, our roadmap paper, which I will post a link to. And that has been a game changer. From that, we have consensus from the whole community. We had 20% of the global population of families complete the survey telling us what they want most, what their priorities are. We had clinicians and researchers and industry. And so that is our guiding principle. Those are that document is now being used to help us create a strategic plan for how we move forward with SCN8A to accelerate science and research as rapidly as possible and improve outcomes for SCN8A families. So we're in the midst of doing some of that now. We will engage more with the community early next year about those priorities and how we're going to move forward with those. But 2026 is going to be such a powerful year for us as we now have this roadmap about what we need to do to improve the lives of our families. And that's our plan in 26. In 25, we hired Raquel Morales, a recent PhD graduate out of the lab of Manoj Patel at University of Virginia. And she's done an incredible job since she's been with us less than 8 months at this point, to help us drive forward on our collaborative research network. And that means strengthening the things that we've already been doing, but making them bigger and better and focused exclusively on what we need to do to improve outcomes and follow what families want most. So that is, we have a clinicians network that is going to continue to meet, and we're launching in January our first case conferences, which are going to be families can reach out to their doctor if they're feeling like they don't know what to do next with their kids, and clinicians and families will share what's going on in this situation, and a global group of doctors will come together to discuss what next steps could be taken. This is a revolutionary thing. that we're doing in SCNA Day. Nobody's done it quite like this before. There have been case conferences, but what we're doing, we're inviting families into the room to be a part of that because we think families should be present and engaged for anything that has to do with their kids. And so we're doing that. We have a research roundtable ongoing that we've met quarterly over the last several years. We're going to build that and grow that and continue to push scientists to find ways to collaborate and hopefully fund some of that innovative work. We are going to be continuing with support for families in understanding SCN8A, the genetics, what it means, connecting to other families that have the same mutation, and really working to ensure that families are getting the support they need to better understand what SCN8A is and how they can best advocate for their children. So, that's really where we're headed. It's going to be, we have some new exciting programs that we're launching. I hope that people will join us on February 9th for International SCN8A Awareness Day, when we will be sharing more of these exciting next steps for the community. We will be engaging with the community to learn more about, what it is that is most important to you. And yeah, so I think that's the big stuff I wanted to share, and really, open up to the community to share the excitement that I have about where we are. I've never been more excited about the state of SCNA Day. I've been at this 13 years, and I really feel that we're on the verge of better care and better treatments. We have clinical trials in 2026. There will be likely two focused on SCN8A and an increasing number that are going to be across the DEEs that many SCN8A families will be eligible for. And sorry, I'm answering a quick comment. And then also just thinking about how we can continue to improve quality of life for families. And I think one of the other most exciting things in 2025 was that there's the potential for a treatment to be going to FDA for approval. Praxis has been working on relutrigine for a number of years, and they've had some great data, and there's the chance that that could be an approved treatment. We don't know the details, of course. They don't share all of the details yet, but from what we do see and hear, it looks pretty strong. So I think that there's a lot of things to be excited about. We are working with several other pharmaceutical companies to get them excited about SCN8A. There are what is the word I'm looking for? There are ASOs, or antisense oligonucleotides, that are in process, which are treatments that help with the mRNA and try to correct the challenges. And we have some gene therapies that are in progress including the one out of Manoj Patel's lab with Kaylee Reaver, and there's just so much happening. We really have the potential to see a real shift and turn for things in 2026. We will be doing a lot more documentation about SCN8A as well in the coming year. We want to be able to tell more stories about what life is like for SCN8A families, and do more education and awareness building. We will continue to build centers of excellence for SCN8A, which will include multidisciplinary centers. As of right now, we have one at Children's National in Washington, D.C., and we have another at Children's Colorado. And we are looking at building additional ones where we know that we can send SCN8A families, no matter where you live, to get either a consult or find your primary care and get the best possible people who know SCN8A inside and out, to help with the care of your loved ones. So with that, I think I'll wrap it. But Elliot, you want to say something? Yeah, I think I just wanted to share my enthusiasm and my excitement about where we've been and where we're headed. And I hope that you will reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. And just know that as we approach the end of the year, We are focused solely on raising funds to advance the research of SCN8A. So any gift that you are interested in making would be doubled. We have a funder who has agreed to double the donations that come in at the end of the year. And that is an investment in a better future for all of our children, all of our loved ones, and truly better understanding the breadth of SCN8A, right? We know that there are people who are adults living with SCN8A, they have their seizures under control, they may have had, challenges with autism. And we know that there are kids like Elliot and others who are very profoundly impaired and impacted by SCN8A, and we want to learn about all of those people. We need to better understand the full spectrum so that we can advance better care and treatments for everyone. I hear a lot of families who have kids that are really profoundly impacted, and they say, excuse me, from a lot of families who may be less impacted, and they say, I feel so guilty because my problems don't compare to, seizures that won't stop and respiratory challenges. And I say, yes, as the parent of a very profoundly impacted kid, those are really scary and challenging. But it doesn't mean that the way that those families are struggling counts less. It's a different kind of fear that your child might run away into the street, that your child might, have challenges in school that keep them from excelling in the best way they could. So we want to fight for all of these families. That's what we do, and we really are hopeful for what 2026 and beyond will bring. If there are any questions, I see that we've got a decent number of people listening in. I'm happy to take questions, and please feel free to DM us, send us an email, reach out any way you want or can to engage with us. We love hearing from all the families, what's working, what's not working, where do you need help. We have an amazing group of ambassadors that are out there constantly working to keep the pulse on the community and support them in any way that support families as they come into the community, and so, those are Tammy and Megan and Kristen. If anybody is looking to reach out, let us know if you want to get connected with one of them. In the meantime, thank you for everything. The support of this community is what has built the International SCN8A Alliance, has allowed us to make such incredible breakthroughs and let us be on the verge of some really exciting times ahead. So thank you, everyone. Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing you in 2026. Say bye.